I want to talk about something really horrifying that happened this weekend in Washington, D.C. I know a lot of times in the news everything feels really big and overwhelming, but I unfortunately think that this story really elucidates how deeply, personally cruel and painful it's become in this country. And I know what I'm about to talk about. Every administration has failed to some degree, but this is egregious. I was at a restaurant on Saturday night. It is almost literally exactly a mile from the White House. And while I was eating dinner with my friends for a birthday party, I started to notice out of my periphery that there was a man who was walking through the restaurant. And you know when you can start to hear people murmuring, and so you know something's going on but you don't know exactly what's going on. And when I realized what was happening, the gentleman was coming around our corner of our group's table, and it became really quickly apparent that this was an older, unhoused gentleman. And right after realizing that, he started grabbing at our food. Like grabbing, desperate. And at this point, staff had already realized what was happening, so our server and the general manager were coming to try and corral him, but I could feel his arm almost as quickly as I realized what was going on. I felt him as he went after my food, and to bring it back, I was eating a pot roast, so it was mashed potatoes and a very soft meat, and he was willing to just grab literally whatever he could off my plate and the plate of the person sitting next to me. And the server and the general manager started holding him, trying to restrain him and move him. And our server kept saying really calmly, we're gonna get you food, the kitchen's gonna get you food. And the man, he kept jerking, and jerking into me in the back because he's holding against the restraints of these other people. And he just starts wailing. He starts wailing, and he just keeps going. And I'm hungry. And he's bleeding, and he's sobbing, and you can feel him resisting against me, against my body, and while they're restraining him, because I could tell that he didn't trust, understandably, that the staff were going to feed him, and if he let them move him right then, he might lose out on the only chance to get anything off of our plate. And he started struggling, and I didn't know whether to move would make it worse or better, or to sit there, and they're trying to make sure it doesn't get bigger, and he's just breaking. He's breaking. And finally, he just starts sobbing into the general manager, just broken, done, sobbing, just repeating again and again and again, I'm hungry. And they walk him away and get him to a more private place, and I sit there for a sec, and the whole restaurant is silent, and I finally get up and I go find our server, and I just wanted to check, because obviously they could have just been saying they were going to feed him, and then they were just going to call the cops. And the server assured me when I found him, no, we're getting him food from the kitchen. We're not calling the police. We understand this man needs help. And I could see behind the unhoused gentleman was just literally clinging to the general manager, sobbing, because he needed food that badly. And I have sat with this feeling now for 2 days of just horror and disgust. And obviously part of it is just like the sheer disconnect of sitting at a nice restaurant and being reminded that there is just immense pain and suffering in this world. But the more I thought about it, our country has been in a crisis for a long time now, and this administration has escalated it. They have stolen jobs, they have destroyed careers, they have destroyed lives, they are hurting our healthcare system. And in the process of doing all of that, they are spending negligently. I walk around Washington, D.C., and I see National Guard people loitering everywhere. My job wasn't good enough to keep. Financially, that wasn't viable. But them standing around doing show puppets of militarism, like being show puppets of military action and intimidation, that's worthy. That's worthy of our money. Meanwhile, a mile from the White House, where our president has been blowing our money in Iran and trying every freaking tactic to do the largest, shiniest golden ballroom, an old man was willing to beg for food in a restaurant, to literally grab soft food out of a plate to put in his hands to eat because he was starving. That is not where your money is going. That is how close the suffering is to the White House, that someone would be that desperate. You need to imagine how desperate you have to be to do what this poor old man did. A mile from where that man is sitting in a room telling us why we need a ballroom. I understand. So many of us are finding ways that this administration has taken from us and made us suffer and made us hurt. Rising gas prices, reduced services, reduced job opportunities. DC has the highest unemployment rate in the country. And none of that makes me as sick as looking at that poor man struggling to get food. If for any reason you have not been disgusted yet by what is going on, I hope this story disgusts you too. Because I will never forget that night. I will never forget that man. And he deserved better. He still deserves better. And we as a country have to do better. All of us.